The American Enterprise Project. The American Enterprise Project is a chapter event. You can do this as an individual, a team of 2, or a team of 3. This project has 2 parts. It has a written report and also a presentation about your process of creating that report. I'm going to read the overview and then I'll show you a quick example of the first place from 2018. The overview is that this event recognizes chapters that develop projects within the school and or community that increase the understanding of and the support for the American Enterprise System by developing an informational or educational program. The project must promote an awareness of some facet of the American Enterprise System within your school and or community and be designed for chapter participation. So that's the overview of the main component of the report. Let me show you an example again of last year's 2018 first place report for nationals. As I open it up, it looks like it's just a basic Word template where they have the title of their report, their school, the date, and those that participated. A table of contents identifying very simply the components that are listed in the rating sheet, and in that specific order, they're addressing every part. And I'll talk about the rating sheet in just a second. Scrolling down, we have the purpose of the project. Looks like they're addressing the research that was done within the community and the school. A chart identifying or representing some of the information that's written within the text. A logo, a nice picture, and then continuing on in each component that's based on the rating sheet. Now let's talk about the rating sheet. The rating sheet for this event is probably one of the most important pieces because you need to address every part of this rating sheet in order to get the points in order to win. You'll notice that you've got the performance rating sheet and also the report rating sheet. Let's start with the report rating sheet. You have the areas that you need to highlight or that you need to focus on and address on the left-hand side column, the expectation item. Then you have your basic rating component that it was not demonstrated below expectations, that it met the expectations or it exceeded the expectations. We want you all to exceed the expectations for this particular event. The first expectation is project specifically promotes local understanding and support for the American Enterprise System. So your description of what that project was and how it truly supported an understanding and promoted the American Enterprise System through your school and through your community is very important. So what did you choose to do? And then be sure be sure that whatever you chose to do addresses that, and then how you write that up completely addresses that particular information. You'll also need to identify or describe the research into your school and community needs. You'll need to describe planning and the development and or implementation of the project. So what were the steps that you did in order to actually make that project or to follow through with the project? And that's every little step that you did. You'll also need to show evidence of publicity that was received. So things that were in your newspaper, things that were announced on the TV, the radio, flyers that were posted around the school, etc. You'll also need to report benefits to and the degree of impact that this project had on your school and or your community. Another very important component of the report is the report format. The format instructions are very clear, and I'm going to show you those guidelines in just a moment after we're done with this rubric. But real quick, you've got the information was arranged according to the rating sheet. Very important, and I'm stressing that because so many times kids flip-flop things around and then they lose points. Why? That's crazy. Next, format and design of the business report. It needs to be really, really clear, clean, crisp. It has to utilize the full bleed. It has to use effective use of your space. It has to have your graphics need to tie in and be perfect, and your formatting must be consistent. You can't have Times New Roman up here and Comic Sans over here. It just doesn't work. Next, you need to make sure that you are clear of all grammar errors. So you have to go through and correct your grammar, punctuation, and spelling. So whether you proof it, have maybe your English teacher proof it, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that it is clear of all errors. Moving on, once you've got your report finished, then then at conference you have the performance, and the performance basically just gives you an opportunity, you and your partners, to describe your project and describe the overall implementation of what happened and all your successes for this project. Again, go back to the rubric. The rubric indicates that it describes the project development and the strategies that you used to implement that project. Next, you must describe the research into your school and community. Basically, you're just restating what you had put in the report, but with a nice little twist on it to catch the judge's attention. In addition, you want to identify appropriate level of chapter and member involvement in the process. Did you have everyone involved? Did you not? Yes, no, why? That sort of thing. The degree of impact on the community and its citizens. Hopefully your degree of impact was great, so you want to identify and talk about that and what it is. And if it wasn't great, you want to maybe identify that and maybe indicate maybe it wasn't as successful as you wanted it to be. Doesn't matter as long as you're addressing these pieces. Next, the evidence of publicity received. Did you want to show or highlight those components? And then also the student evaluation of the project effectiveness. Going back to, was it really a good project, or was it not as successful as you wanted it to be? It's okay if it wasn't as successful as you wanted, but you do need to let the judges know why and what happened, and maybe what you would have done to change it. So this rubric for this project is extremely important. Let's go back to the guidelines. In the guidelines, it does give some information about the event, some specific event information, and right here, prejudged report and presentation. Here are the report guidelines. You must read this. Now, this second bullet says state chair advisor must upload the PDF, blah, 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 by Friday, May. No, that's for nationals. If you make it to nationals, first you got to get through state to get to nationals. So that date for you is March 1st. Yes, March 1st. Then continue to read the rest of your bullets. You need to go through and read this. The description, the guidelines are here. You must read them. All right, moving on. I showed you that example of the 2008 American Enterprise right here in this guideline. There's so many more examples for you to take a look at and peek. You can't copy, you can't use them, but you can use them as a reference and as a resource. There are additional websites and resources here. Other resources great are your teachers, your parents, your friends, your family, your business partners, maybe your advisory committees. So be sure to use all of your resources when you're creating and developing your American Enterprise podcast. I wish you luck. I think you guys will do great, and we'll see you at State.